Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to study lecture number 6 from the time of Hazrat Usman. So yesterday we studied about charges which was raised by the rebels against Hazrat Usman. Then we also studied about that how Hazrat Usman actually refused or give explanation of each and every charge. Today we are going to study about his martyrdom, that he's been martyred by the rebel. So let's start studying the event. First of all, you need to write on the start, you need to write actually this is one of the great event of Islamic history in which Hazrat Usman was killed mercilessly by the rebels, and actually he was not given any space by the rebels. So let's start studying the reason, a background of this event. We have studied actually when rebel came to Medina, they took a siege of Medina, and Hazrat Ali was there. Actually he convinced the rebels not to do anything bad, so he met them one by one, and Hazrat Usman convinced them about their charges. So they were confused that what should be done and what should not be done. So later on actually they said we can leave the Medina with one condition, because they were from Kufa, Basra and Egypt. So earlier they refused to go back, but later on they got agree that actually we can leave the Medina with one condition, that the governor of Egypt should be changed, and Muhammad bin Abi Bakr must be appointed as a new governor of Egypt. Hazrat Usman got agree, and he gave them the order, and he gave them the appointment letter that you need to go to Egypt and hold the office of Medina. So when these people actually they were going back to Egypt, so a tragic event happened over there. So now let's start studying about the event of martyrdom of Hazrat Usman. When these people actually they were going back to Medina, they caught a messenger. Okay, they arrested a messenger. Actually when they found a letter with that messenger. In that letter it was written that actually when these people, Muhammad bin Abi Bakr and his friend, came to Egypt, the governor was given an order that you need to kill them. So when the people of Egypt they heard this, they got the letter with the stamp of Hazrat Usman. They got furious that Hazrat Usman has cheated us. They sent us as a governor of Egypt. Now they have issued the letter of our killing. So they got furious and they came back to Medina, and they laid a siege of Hazrat Usman house. Now actually rebels they are being in a furious form. They had an argument with Hazrat Usman, but Hazrat Usman actually refused about such a letter. Someone wrote a letter with the name of Hazrat Usman and sealed with the stamp of Hazrat Usman, and that letter was sent to the governor of Egypt. So situation started to grow bad day by day. So they took a siege of Hazrat Usman's house. They no supply of water and food actually was allowed to go to the house of Hazrat Usman. Hazrat Usman was in his house with his wife Hazrat Naila. So that siege lasted for 50 days. The people started to try to do their best to convince Hazrat Usman to give us permission to fight against the rebel, but he refused by saying that actually this is a city of Medina and I'm not going to give any order which might dishonor the city of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So but few people like Hazrat Hassan and Hazrat Hussein and other people, they were sent by the order of Hazrat Ali to provide him some food and some shelter and protection. But later on, as days passed, situation started to grow bad and bad. So that siege lasted for 50 days. After that actually the rebels they jumped into the house of the Hazrat Usman and they attacked on him. Hazrat Naila, she was also with him with Hazrat Usman. When she tried to protect her husband, she got injured and her finger actually was cut during that activity, and Hazrat Usman was martyred in the age of 80s in his house. So this is how Hazrat Usman was martyred by the rebels. So basically this was not the single event, but this event also got the consequences, and these consequences were far more than this tragic event. For example, what can be the consequences? Number one, unity of Islam of state was lost because the capital was attacked. The Muslim was united, but at that time Muslim become divided into two parts, the rebels and the Muslim. And number one. And number two, later on, actually, after the death of Hazrat Usman, Muslim divided into two parties, the Hashimis and the Umayyads, because Hazrat Amir Mawiya, he was in Damascus, he was in power there. So actually, he started to prepare himself to avenge the murder of Hazrat Usman, while Hazrat Ali, he was became Khalifa. So that is why the Islamic State divided into two parties. Later on, the purity of Medina was lost because Medina and Makkah both are the cities where Holy Prophet strictly prohibited not to kill anyone. But Hazrat Usman was being killed over there. His blood was shed on the land of Medina. So that is why the purity of Medina was lost. And later on, actually, after few decades, Medina was again became the battlefield for the Muslims. And number three, civil wars were started after the death of Hazrat Usman. Civil war was started in Islamic history. Battle of Siffin, Battle of Camel, and then later on, actually, Battle of Nahrawan also fought among the people, among the Muslims. Last but not least, actually, when Hazrat Ali became the Khalifa, he shifted the capital from Medina to Kufa, while Amir Mawiya, he became the ruler of Syria. He declared Damascus as his capital. So my dear student, this was the event of martyrdom of Hazrat Usman. You need to go from the history book and from Frkhanda Noor Muhammad and Dr Saqib, and you need to make a good and healthy notes of this event. So tomorrow we are going to study the last lesson from the time of Hazrat Usman about his administration and services. Until then, Allah Hafiz.